It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the UBC's British Columbia's head women's basketball coach, Coach Isabel Ormond. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
I didn't know until well after my playing career. I never really thought about it as an option. And then I ended my career with some injuries, and that kind of changed what I was looking to do in sport. And luckily, I had some really good mentors and took some opportunities for school and get started in coaching. And here I am now.
What was that experience like playing collegiate basketball at McKay Master?
It was amazing. So I love the McMaster community, and some of my best friends I got to play with, and playing in my hometown was awesome. And just the whole post-secondary basketball experience was a lot of fun, and really enjoyed my time playing, and really happy to have worn maroon at McMaster.
How was that experience like putting on that maroon jersey and representing them?
There was a lot of excitement. There's such a big basketball community in Hamilton. We actually have a good handful of Hamilton players on the UBC team now in Vancouver. But playing in front of such a big crowd, we had super fans that were at every game, traveled with us, parents, friends, and families. It meant a lot to be able to play in front of those people and play university basketball in such a competitive area.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like going to U Albany and getting to play coach in basketball?
Yeah, I was at University of Alberta, so that was in Edmonton, and that was great. And it was like a pretty big risk I took. I got an email from the head coach Scott about joining as an assistant coach and starting my master's degree. And at this point, I didn't really know what I was doing after playing, so I just jumped on it and went. And it was an amazing experience with the staff I worked with, the players, and just getting started in coaching in Canada West was incredible.
While with you, Alberto, what was that experience like being their associate head coach?
It was great to build me into and give me experiences for being the head coach at UBC. And at that point, I had known coaching was something I wanted to do as a career. So I feel very grateful that I had the opportunities to kind of step into a bigger role with the program, having been there for a good handful of years, and getting some trust and mentorship opportunities was awesome. So it was great to start to make some decisions, start to build more into the technical side, and really start to develop my own coaching practice and philosophy as well.
How is that like getting that experience and that taste of coaching on the national team for Team Canada?
That has been incredible. And the number of players and coaches and staff members that you get to learn from when coaching at the international level and coaching with our national teams has been amazing. And it's connected me with coaches and players across the country, which is also very exciting, from the East Coast to the West Coast where I am now. So I've really learned a lot from those experiences. And I'm actually currently coaching a player that I coached at a U19 Worlds. So that is a nice small circle moment that I hope keeps growing and growing for UBC basketball as well.
What was that experience like going to the World Cup for Canada?
It was amazing. I've been to two World Cups now, and most recently we finished silver, which was the best Canada's ever done at a World Cup at that age group. So it's been a lot of exciting times. Really appreciate the coaches I get to work with. So the head coach Fabienne won Coach of the Year actually at that tournament, so that part's really exciting. I was working with the University of Toronto head coach as well on that staff, and the Concordia University head coach. So there's a lot of fun learning from other very experienced and knowledgeable head coaches in that space too.
What was that feeling like coming over to UBC and becoming their head coach for the first time?
It felt very surreal starting at UBC, and it had always been on my list of top schools because it's a very renowned athletic program. They've had a history of success with a long-standing coach prior to myself as well. And then it's a great school academically. It's one of the only ranked worldwide in Canada. I think there's three, so UBC is one of them. So having that balance of athletics and academics really gives you a great opportunity to build a basketball program, which we're working on now.
For you, what was that feeling like stepping onto that court at UBC?
It felt like business as usual. I think at this point, being so focused and ready and all the prep that I did, that it kind of just felt like another game. And I almost think I needed to do a better job being mindful that, hey, this is my first game as a Thunderbird. But it was sort of going right to work. And we host the U Sport National Championship this year. So we know we get a chance to compete in that final tournament in March. And so I think it was right to business and right to work. But I'm feeling very grateful and fortunate to be here.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
I think I keep I keep my pregame probably pretty similar to as I when I was a player. I got some good music on, of course. Hopefully, all my prep is done. So the last like hour before the game, it's just some final reviews. Try to get myself ready to go and organized. I do some dribbling on the bench still, like I did as a player, and actually one of our players, Jess Orr, jumps in with me now, and we do some tricks while the team is warming up. So yeah, I feel like it ends up being pretty similar, but I'll just try to build some joy and excitement for the game.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build for the UBC program?
A lot of the culture is really focused on the connection on and off the court through teammates. So some of our pillars this year are grit and growth and connection. So we really are intentional with building that throughout the year and really making that a focus point to build both the competitive level that we need to be successful, but then also the enjoyment and the motivation and the excitement to be challenged every day like we are in our space.
So, far as head coach, what have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish?
We had a great season record last year, but most recently for this year, we've secured top in the Canada West Pacific Division. So the first seed will be second seed overall with only two losses in our conference play right now. So really excited about that. But it's also trying to be very mindful that playoffs is that big goal. And so we love being ranked in the top 10. We love securing kind of a top seed in playoffs, but at the end of the day, we want to be one of the top seeds on the national tournament and playing in that finals. So still feels like a lot of work to get done.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Some of the biggest teams we're playing against, a good rivalry for us is always the University of Victoria. We actually lost by 3 in overtime to them a couple weeks ago. But then playing schools like Alberta, Saskatchewan, um, yeah, University of Regina, those are all tough opponents in Canada West that we have to play pretty frequently. And then even looking across the country to schools like Carleton and Ottawa, Laval or St. Mary's on the East Coast. There's a lot of great competition across the country that we're looking to play as much as we can and looking to challenge and improve on.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Saskatchewan comes to home versus going to Alberta?
There's always a good crowd that shows up for some competitive games. So a lot of fans, a lot of cheering. We have the Thunder AC/DC song that comes out before our starting lineups all the time. So it's a really great environment, and we're really excited for hosting playoffs and hosting nationals here to build on that fan and community engagement as well. And you also get Popeyes if we score more than 20 in the fourth quarter. Get some free Popeyes, which is always fun.
What is that like getting to travel around the Canada and getting to play different teams in Canada in different prospects?
That has been probably one of the highlights coaching in Canada West is how much you get to explore this country. And I think there's two U Sport gyms I haven't been to yet that I hope to get to eventually. But the fact it's taken me to a lot of different cities that I didn't think I would get to, a lot of different gyms, so many different connections from, again, East Coast to West Coast has been so exciting and such a great opportunity in Canada West to travel between Manitoba, Sask, Alberta, and BC for some games.
How is that like in getting to play non-conference teams and traveling to the US and playing teams in the US?
We haven't traveled to the US a ton yet, but we are in the works of trying to get a Germany trip internationally. Just an opportunity to play some different people, see some different basketball contexts, and really help us prep for our year and that like different opponents, different challenges, different growth opportunities. So it's awesome anytime you get to play at a conference, anytime you can do a trip as a team. It's also a great team bonding activity as well to start the year. So we do have our sights set on Germany. If anyone wants to help us get there, we are prepared.
What is that like getting to travel internationally and playing different countries internationally?
That's a lot of fun, and the style of play is so different in different countries and for different teams. So, especially coaching with Canada basketball and the national team, being able to see that close up, like what's their style of play? What are they looking for offensively? What are some of the defensive rotations? It just gives you an opportunity to see more of the game, so you have more in your toolkit when you need it.
What does that recruitment process look like for prospective student athletes, and as head coach, what do you look at?
I look a lot at the like effort character pieces. I think in terms of recruiting, plays a bigger role than people might think because we're looking for someone who has talent to come in their first year, but can be better come their fifth year. And so someone who's willing to put in the work and kind of improve year over year is pretty important for future recruits coming in. The process typically starts with some emails back and forth. And I would definitely encourage athletes, if you're interested in a school, to reach out to that coach early so we can start watching games, start having conversations, planning some official visits to campus when we get there to build some of the excitement around being a UBC Thunderbird.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that UBC Thunderbird jersey?
I love seeing the excitement, but also the stress of first years going in, especially for the first time. And it's moments for me, I try to have them be very mindful, hopefully doing better than I did in my first Thunderbird game. But be very mindful of the opportunity, right? You got an offer to play post secondary basketball in a great league, in a great school, on a great team. And you don't want to take those for granted. So it's always nice seeing those moments happen for players and trying to help them get to their potential and how good they could be.
For those freshmen, what is that like as a head coach seeing them achieve those first big milestones like first points, first 3 pointers?
It builds the excitement and it builds some of the reasons why you're a head coach in the first place. And for me, the best part is almost when you know someone's been working on a skill and they've been working on it, and it's slowly getting there. And the first time they do that, those moments are amazing as a coach to see. And you see them get so excited that they finally hit their goal, their target, their milestone. Um, and yeah, it really is what makes the job probably most worth it at the end of the day.
How is that like as a head coach seeing those seniors putting on that Thunderbird jersey for the last time?
Sometimes the same moments as the first years, it's a lot of excitement and also probably some stress. And we actually just celebrated our three seniors this past weekend. And though it's the end of an era, putting on your jersey for the last time, playing at home for the last time, there's just a lot to celebrate about getting there in the first place and being in that team environment.
What is that like seeing them achieve those last milestones like getting 1,000 career points?
Yeah, it's hard to do. And even just playing your full eligibility for a team is hard to do because you're in school, your body hurts, you're stressed, you're trying to figure out your job, you're trying to break records and milestones. So just really trying to take that step back and be mindful of what an accomplishment is to get there, whether you're at 999 points, whether you're breaking the all-time scoring record for the league. I think just being mindful of what you did to get there and all that effort that came out of it.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those players going on and playing professional basketball, whether it's the WNBA or overseas?
Amazing. And I'd love to have some of the players I coach go to the WNBA. I've played against some of them before, but it's just amazing if that's something they want to do. I am all for supporting them to get there and trying to reach their goals, whether it's just in North America, whether it's internationally, for international students especially. So it's really exciting seeing them reach their goals in whatever capacity that is.
How is it like for you getting to see those players going into coaching and taking what you've taught them into their coaching career?
Again, another thing I would love to keep building. And there's been some players from the University of Alberta for sure that I've coached and who are getting into coaching, and they've worked with me on provincial team staffs. They've worked with me for university staffs or other like club teams that I've been coaching. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for women to stay involved in sport or any players and kind of give back to the game. And it does help you learn the game for when you're playing as well. So I love when players want to get into coaching after or during their playing career.
What have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far?
I think for us, it's just like conference records and securing that playoff positioning that we have going into nationals. Also, the number of like graduating athletes that we have and staying with the program in different capacities, to me speaks really highly of that community and culture that we're building. So I love celebrating those seniors. I love getting those first year recruits, and then seeing them all the way through to that senior night as well.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
We're going to start with playoffs this year, is, fight for the right to win a championship, conference and nationally. It's not going to be easy, but we want to put ourselves in the best spot to compete for that. So that's my short-term goal for this year. And long-term, is just keep building on the history of success. So UBC women's basketball team won the first 3 back-to-back-to-back championships for women's basketball in Canada in the 70s. And I want to keep building on that legacy. They had 3 more in the early 2000s. So we're due for another string of 3 that I'd love to get started this year.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's basketball?
Give yourself some self-compassion, some grace. It's a big adjustment for school. It's a big adjustment for level of play. So it's really being practical and taking care of yourself through that first year, and trust the process. You are here for a reason. You're playing in the league for a reason. Even if your minutes are a lot less than you're used to, even if you're struggling scoring or defending, whatever it is, it's like trust that process and trust your team that you're going to get to where you need to be.
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of playing in the WNBA or overseas?
Don't stop working. Find a place that's going to challenge you to make you better. And it doesn't matter how good you are. You need someone that's going to constantly push you to reach those goals and constantly push you to get better. Because that's the only way you're going to be playing professionally. So really finding a space that challenges you to do that.
What advice would you give those players looking to get started into their coaching career?
Get your foot in the door, right? Just kind of be in the gym, talk to coaches who have played before and see how their transition went. I use school as a way to get on the court and start coaching with the team. So really kind of balancing that with some education around sport. That would be my biggest advice. And I'm an open door. If anyone wants to talk coaching or has questions, they can always reach out to me as well.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
I think stay true to who you are. And, a lot of coaches operate the same way and they focus on the same things, and just remember to bring in who you are as a person into that space as well, the same way you want your athletes to. My most competitive space has a smile and my dimples going. So I'm not trying to hide that on the court and trying to bring that out in players as well. So I think trust yourself. Yeah.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program at?
We're at UBC Women's Basketball on Instagram and TikTok. Mine is at Isabella. That was a high school nickname on Instagram as well. So you can find me there, and I would love to make some connections.
Thank you again, Coach Isabella, for your interview, and best luck in your future at UBC British Columbia as the head women's basketball coach.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the time.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.